You know, you know who you remind me of tonight?
Don't start, Ricardo, because I
No,
was going to start with a apology to you.
about,
Well, I got told that I shouldn't be, we're supposed to be friends,
yep.
and I shouldn't be so mean to you about your horrible shirts and your bell bottom jeans. So, what I did is I looked back in my wardrobe and I found myself back to my retro corduroy jacket to make you feel better.
Tonight, Feed the Bags brought to you by Rick Salizzo and Kramer from Seinfeld.
You're the only person who knows Kramer.
Yeah, I know. I'm sitting next to him. Let's big day really for New Zealand Rugby announcing Scott Barrett and Ryan Crotty signed, and also Offer signed yesterday. Just
Waisaki Noholo.
yeah, the other day, and
Yeah.
Liam Squire.
Liam
So,
Squire,
how
yeah.
important are those signings?
Well, I think Ryan Crotty is fundamental. He signed for 1 year, and so did Waisaki. So Waisaki's probably considering, going overseas for bigger money at the end of the next World Cup. Already played a World Cup. Ryan Crotty wants to stay and play a World Cup. I think, the Barrett signing and the Offa Tuanganawhasi signing is a real. I mean, they're all good signings. Don't get me wrong, Liam Squire, but I think Liam Squire, Offa Tuanganawhasi, and Scott Barrett hopefully will be around for another 2. I see them as the new breed. And I see Ryan and Waisaki as probably guys that.
Did you know Ryan Crotty hadn't been to a World Cup? It
Yeah,
surprised
that was
me.
amazing. That was amazing. I mean, I think the biggest story was Izzy Day, you know, and we probably missed that one just because there was other bigger stories.
But I actually think Ryan Crotty he's the sort of player that New Zealand rugby's built on. You know, that you can, wherever he plays, you can rely on him to perform. A bit like Matt Todd you're talking about the other day. You can just, incredibly talented. I mean, you played with guys like that, like a Warwick Taylor or even a Craig Green, who just always did the right thing at the right time, 90% of the time.
What was the most interesting thing about what you said there?
I don't know. I was boring myself, but what do you think it was?
Well, the Crusaders, Cantabrians,
Yeah.
right? And that is a typical Crusader, Cantabrian type player. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes, very verbal, maximizes his potential physically. I just think that's the type of player you need around. I know that Bowden early in his career, when Ryan was out there, he was a big voice, and that's important when you're under pressure. You've got someone outside, you're talking about spinning it wide. I mean, and just talking about Todd, I reckon that loose forward combination with Kieran Reid out, Liam Squire injured, we don't know if he's going to be back. That's going to be a really interesting selection.
Do you think Akira Ioane's in the picture?
I think Akira Ioane will definitely be in the picture after going away, and I think that, it's harder to get out of the All Blacks than it is to get in.
And then you've got a Luke Whitelock, who's sort of the players we were just talking about, who just doesn't make mistakes and always does a good job.
Yeah, and I think that Luke was captain of the All Blacks midweek last November, pretty big. And Luke is another one of those Cantabrians, right? Does his work. I mean, I think the thing that Luke's done lately is he's turned his tackling into a weapon. So he makes some big hits. So he's obviously worked really hard on that. I think Akira, when he's on, he's on. I think his age and with a bit more experience in the All Blacks, he needs to be 80-minute consistent, and I'm pretty sure they would have told him that. But I think he'll be in the mix there somewhere, because if you think about the balance, right, you could do something like Sam Cane at 6, Todd at 7, get Cane to jump, and then Whitelock at the back. You're not real tall, but you could go Vaifafita, Whitelock, Cane, so there's a good combination there with someone like Akira to come on to give you a bit more ball carry. But I think the hardest one is probably Jordan Tafua, who's been playing with a lot of form. But I don't think he'll push into that selection just
the thing
yet.
with Jordan Tafua is that he's always going to give you everything he's got, and
well, that's dumb thing to say, isn't it?
Why?
Because we're talking about the All Blacks.
Right. But
so that's no argument.
No, I'm just saying that he gives every inch of talent that he's got, he gives you.
Yeah, but we're talking about the All Blacks. So the others don't? Is that what you're saying?
No, well, I'm just saying that.
Well, that's a given.
Okay.
So that's the whole thing in the All Blacks. Like we're talking about elite players, right? And missing out will be hard on all these guys.
Well, just can I stop you there? Because there's one guy that everyone's talking about. Let's have a look at him.
Barrett gets it wide for Evans. Ball popped over the top for Lamb. Awkward. Oh, he got away beautifully, Ben Lamb. And off he goes. And Ben Lamb's season continues. What a good try that is. So Artie Savia brings it up. Laumapi held up by Proctor, gets into the clear. He's got Artie Savia on the inside. And Artie Savia scores. So first things first, Groom gets it in. And the scrum now taken out by Quagga Smith. Almost got there himself. Now releases for Groom, and he has a go and he scores. Now Christie slings it off for Barrett. Quick hands required. Laumapi across to Lamb. Lamb, what a try. What a finish. He's done it again, Ben Lamb. Laumapi. Julian Savia, Milner, Scudder, Proctor. Lamb again. Lamb's in. Try number 3, Ben Lamb. Quickly handed on. Riccatelli. Ball been lost and snapped up. And here's a chance for the Lions. This is going to be a runaway try. No chance for Beauden Barrett. And Mahusa.
So Ben Lamb, 3 more tries.
Yeah.
Top tries. So, I mean, you picked him for the Blues. I mean, what are the sort of things that makes Ben such a special athlete?
Well, he was a sprint champion in Auckland, so he's fastest man in Auckland, and he's big and strong. Ben, when he was with us, would probably struggle with his concentration, so he'd drift in and drift out of matches. But he seems to have sorted that with a bit of maturity and you know, a bit of change in his life. He's an amazing young man, really intelligent, and I'm really pleased to see him playing well. The most significant, and I think if he continues with this form, the thing I love about someone like Ben is he doesn't need to do any talking. He just gets out on the field and lets everyone else like us talk about him. I'd love to see him in the All Black jersey. Will it happen in you know, in June? Don't know. But the most significant thing for me is Julian Savia changing wings. And I think that's a really, really important thing to do. He's been a specialist left winger, and he's changed to the right wing, and that will help him be reselected. And I think when you think about our back three, there's just a lot of them, which, you know, Jordan Tafua and Ben Lamb, I believe, are the guys that possibly could miss out because we're just starting to stack it. I mean, Rico's back on the wing. We got Sonny Bill back, so that pushes people a little bit wider. But I think that
you got Nehemiah Scudder coming back from injury. You got Geordie Barrett coming back from injury. You got Ben Smith playing well. You know, obviously Waisaki Naholo. These are guys, and the All Blacks tend to keep faith in people that have performed for them in the past, don't they?
Yeah, look, it's harder to get out. And what has anyone done since the last All Black camp to deserve to be dropped?
So do you think someone like a Ben Lamb, if he keeps playing the way he's going to play, maybe looking at an end of the year tour or something like that, if he doesn't get
only because for me at this stage it's probably you know, there's just so Ben's a specialist, Waisaki's a specialist, and Julian's a specialist. The other guys can play multi. So Ben Smith can play on the wing, play fullback. Nehemiah Scudder can play on the wing, play fullback. You know, and that is where you start saying how many specialists do you want to take, right? Compared to guys that can change around. Because if you're a specialist and you're not selected, very difficult to put you on the bench. You know, really easy to put Nehi on the bench if you're thinking Ben, you know, Waisaki and
Rico.
Yeah, and Rico. You go, well, who am I going to put on the bench? I'm going to put someone who covers three of those positions, or a specialist.
I mean, we've all got opinions, but I think it's fair to say that the selectors have probably got it right pretty much most of the time in the last sort of 10 years or so.
Yeah, I don't think they've got too many wrong, to be fair.
So thank God that my teams aren't getting picked.
Yeah.
But
you never came back from injury at all, did you?
No, I'm still waiting. Some good news for the Blues with, as you say, Sonny Bill's back. I mean, TJ Perenara is back for the Hurricanes, so I mean that's going to be a hell of a game. Blues Hurricanes.
Yeah, I mean the Blues draw running home is really tough. Hurricanes twice, Crusaders twice, and they need to win pretty much 6 out of the last games. So that's a real tough call. I think the thing I liked about the Blues last week was their defence. And, you know, people have talked about their defence, but they held the Waratahs out for 18 phases late in the game.
Let's have a look at that.
So here's Fuller kicking down, and it's going to dribble into touch, is it? No, it's not. Foley. Beale. Flirting with a bit of danger in front of their goalpost, and it's been turned over now by the Blues. Enrico Ioane is going to score. Gordon, Foley, and Folau got away from one, and now for Kenny, out to Cameron Clark for the corner. Oh, a high shot there.
Dangerous tackle, yellow card, nothing else than that.
Harley, the 20-year-old, in the bin for 10. And it's still going. Set up nicely here. Fitzpatrick is over for the Waratahs. Oh, just holding on, but the pass was a beauty to Duffy. Matt Duffy over to Manu on the far side, cutting back infield and getting very close. He's claiming a try, and it's given. The Waratahs need to be the next team to score, and now it is Michael Hooper! Michael Hooper hits back for the Waratahs. Oh, and Paddy Ryan coughs it up, and that's the ball game. And this incredible run of losses against New Zealand teams continues for the Aussies.
Yeah, so it was good. I mean, you know, it's almost like the Australian teams have forgotten how to win against us because it's been so long. And I mean, I think subconsciously that must just be at the back of their minds.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a losing culture, isn't it? So, I mean, they're really struggling. The thing about the Waratahs, regardless of the Blues performance, they've been really inconsistent during the 80 minutes, which is something you could blame the Blues for being sometimes. So, you know, for me, it was, obviously I was really happy for the Blues. They've been taking a lot of criticisms. They D'd up, you know, and I thought that was a pretty good D performance. I know Alistair Rogers pretty well. He's been working hard. Good to see them hold them out for like 18 rucks. But the Waratahs are inconsistent, and that's been the plague for them all year. I also think they underestimated the Blues.
I've just noticed that you've actually frozen. If I look at the computer that's ahead of me, I just want to make sure that you're still, because I mean, I found what
that'd be a horrible thought.
Yeah, I think all these people's computers, or some of them are. Oh no, it's all right. Yeah. Yeah,
listen to James. He's the technician. No, I was
just looking at the computer, and I was
just
really worried. I was just really worried that all these people around the world
were frozen on you,
frozen on their computers. I mean, how disappointing was that?
Freezing on that, people. It's Ricardo.
What about the wingers? Lamb, Julian Sevilla, Clark, and Ioane on the game. I mean, what quality of player?
And Hurricanes Blues, I mean, this is a home derby for you overseas. It's really, really taken our game to a new level here in New Zealand. I mean, Super Rugby's intense at the best of times, but wow, our home derbies are just something to behold. Really, really intense, probably faster than a normal Super game, and it really takes its toll. So I think it's like, I mean, you've got Barrett, you know, you've got Sevilla, like you said. It's just a really great game of rugby.
We had a question actually from one of our, I just lost who it was actually, but they said, what about blooding new players into the All Blacks for the World Cup? But is that June?
No, I believe that, you know, Fozzie, Steve Hansen and Grant Fox did that last year.
Right.
I think you can't go to a World Cup. I think you get the exception, Nihi Milascata. So someone keeps pushing next year and it's in a position where we might be a little bit light, or someone jumps out that's really special that the world hasn't seen, which was Nihi. I think for the core of your team, you need to have that experience.
Sorry, Lonnie's just come in and said, I reckon John could be the coach for the All Black.
Nice.
That's how it read. And then someone said, Terry Rice said, shut up, JK, you're well off the pace.
Yeah. Thanks,
you,
TJ.
Terry. Thanks, Terry.
Just finished playing golf in Hong Kong, have we, mate?
Not Terry Wright, Terry Price.
Oh, Terry Price.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was Terry Wright.
No, he's
tuning in from
golf.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's have
so
a
does anyone ask a question besides just abusing me, Ricardo?
Yeah, there's a lot of abuse for you tonight, actually. I think you're going to have a hard time.
Well, that's because I'm mean to you.
Yeah, no, there's it's just mainly abuse for you, a lot from people, you know. Let's have a look at the Highlanders, because they had a tough game. I mean, you know, we talked about how good these South African sides are this year, particularly at home, of course. And the Sharks were outstanding.
It's over. Oh, and that's brilliantly taken on the run by Ruan Botha. Nobody in front of him. He gives it to Aka from the back. What a start for the Sharks. Good play from the two props there. The Beast quickly into his running. Lovely hands. Backers on the mark. Pippi scores. Good transfer. Held in the back now by Frizzell. They're very close to the line, the Highlanders here. They've had a go. They're over. The try is scored, and it's gone to Dylan Hunt. Robert De Prier. That's a clever little ball. Sabua Kursi. And he's still going. He's absolutely butchered the defense. That's a brilliant catch. And Robert De Prier gets one of the tries of the season. Here's Ben Smith. Oh, here's a little bit of vintage Ben Smith. Gets the long ball away. And in the corner.
That was a great pass by Ben Smith. The Sharks, though, were great.
Yeah. How good's Robert De Prier, that first five? Outstanding.
And I just really like the look of the South African sides. I think they've got some great new talent with great feet. I think it's going to be great championship series if they get their selection right. And I personally do think that the Chiefs were just a little bit off. The Highlanders, sorry. I just don't think they had that extra bite that they normally have. And I think, you know, they've been in Africa. It's a tough trip.
And then how about, so they've got to fly back, and then they've got the Lions at home.
Yeah, that's a tough assignment.
Obviously have been here for a bit.
Yeah, that's a tough assignment. And look, the Chiefs have got a hard run in. The Blues have got a hard run in, because we've got our derbies, and the Highlanders are no different. It's a really interesting.
We talk about the strength of the South Africans. The Chiefs are on their way to the Stormers, you know, in South Africa, and then a group of their players, and you know, a lot of injuries, and then a group of their players have to come back to get in camp for the All Blacks. So they've only got them for one game in South Africa. So they've got a tough time.
Yeah, and they need to win that game.
Yep.
They're coming off a poor performance, which stings, and so that it's a big game for them, and they need to win, because if they lose this one, New Zealand Conference, we're playing for a home semi, right? And obviously the Blues are trying to play to get into the playoffs, but if you don't get that home semi, it just makes life really, really tough. So you start travelling.
And we talked last week about one of the form teams of the competition. Let's remind ourselves, the team that's just won 4 in a row.
Inside ball, works wonders. Tukale up from fullback. Has one outside. Joaquin Tukale. Fake the pass, and now we'll take a Desio. Gets over the ball. In fact, Thomas Lezana it was. Orlando back to Boffelli. Try time surely for the Hawanis. Yes! And the Hawanis now only have one more stop before they have to use it. Can the Chiefs wrap this up? The Hawanis regroup. Still they go forward. It's Kremer with the ball. And they stop on the line. They come back. Penalty try is given by Mike Fraser. Nankivell scoops it up. Tahuri Orangi out to Ngatai. There's an offside advantage. Charlie Ngatai. Oh, yes, he does. We're looking at this try. hold on.
16 Black has knocked the ball on. So reverse your on-field decision and go to the penalty for 8 or for orange offside.
Swaits back for McKenzie to Retallick. Retallick standing strong. Pareti on debut tonight. Pareti straight through he goes. And that's full time. And the men in orange have their greatest purple patch in history.
I really hope the Jaguares make it to the playoffs because their improvement since they've been in the competition has been massive. And 4 wins on the road, it's incredible.
Yeah, well, the New Zealand franchise will be happy with that. I think that the thing I like about them is their passion. A couple of guys crying again after the game the other night. But they've fixed themselves up technically. They've got a really strong defensive line. They've got 13 on their feet rushing forward. They leave a bit of space in behind, for the kicking game, but they're just throwing themselves into everything, and they're in the top 8 at the moment, so they're in plus. Yeah, most improved by a long shot. And we've always been waiting for it, but
we know their forwards are good because they're always good, but they've shown some outstanding backs have come through. Is it Boffelli, the winger? And
I call him Bocelli, like the singer.
Right.
But
right.
Yeah, it is Boffelli, you're
Which
right.
is unfortunate because that's actually not his name.
Yeah, exactly. No, Boffelli is his
and
name.
Is it Tukulet?
Tukulet, been around a long time,
fullback,
good experience.
Great step.
Yeah, very good. But I think, they're just hanging on to the ball. The amazing thing for the Jaguares this year is that their discipline's been really good. Yeah. Last year they'd be playing well, get a yellow card, playing well, get a red card. But they seem to have channeled all that aggression into the rucks and into their defensive line, which is cool.
Which is very, very hard to do. And I can say from personal experience that
you got sent off most weeks.
So we're just looking for some questions here. Most of it's just abuse. For you because they don't know who I am, so that's good. There's a question here before about Rene Ranger, just wondering where he is.
Oh, Rene's in France, so Rene obviously went to France and then came home and tried to get back into the All Blacks and play for the Blues. Had a bit of bad luck with his knee injury, and he went back to France. So he's back in France. Can't remember who for.
Okay, and of course, just before we go, it's the big European Champions Cup final is on, I think, this weekend with Leinster playing Dan Carter. How do you see that going?
DC's an incredible competitor, and he'll be wanting to win that. He's also got a pretty good competitor on the other side of the park, but if he decides to turn it on and drive his football team around, I think it'd be a good way for him to finish in a way he'd want to finish. And I suggest to anyone around the world that hasn't been to a European game that big, get a ticket if you can. It's a great experience.
It's in Spain, Bilbao.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They take it across. The second time they've done it. They used to do it a wee bit with the 2 French sides. So, yeah, no, it's a great experience.
Talking about Dan Carter, I mean, we don't talk about him a lot because he's not playing here anymore, but let's just end up tonight on just what an incredible player, because this is obviously coming to the end of his career. His last game in France, he's going down to Japan to play at Kobe. But
well, I just love the fact, like Buffon, right?
Right, the goalkeeper for Italy.
40 years of age, still competitive. And I think we're starting to push it. LeBron James having one of his best, 33. So who's that guy, Sopawanga, was on it? He's 36 or something.
Oh, the basketball guy, yeah.
But I think Dan Carter, if he stays fit and well, he's going down to Japan. He could probably do another 3-4 years. We might see him playing 240.
Wow, it's a big call.
What else are you going to do?
Well, just sit on the blue chair and just waffle on for half an hour.
That's why I wanted to play a little longer. If he comes back, we're
How old were you when you stopped playing?
35.
Were you?
Well, I stopped playing at 29 probably, but hung out there till I was 35.
And we must find some footage of that. Some massive games on this weekend. We've got a local derby, teams going back. We've got an All Black team to look forward to. The season's really heating up. Make sure you get out, watch a game on TV. If you can get a game live, go and watch a game. Support your team. We'll be back next week with Feed the Backs.